I don't know where else to write this. I don't know who to tell, and even if I did, no one would believe me. I don't have much time. I can't even leave my apartment. I can hear her breathing behind me right now. I can feel the cold, slimy touch of her hand on my shoulder. If I don't make a sound or turn around, I might live a little longer. I just hope it's enough time to finish my story. It all started about a month ago. I was sitting alone in my room, reading a book, when I heard someone calling my name. At first, I thought it was my mom, though the voice sounded nothing like hers. It was hoarse and hollow, like someone who hadn't spoken in years. I wandered through the apartment, calling out, but realized she wasn't home. That's when I remembered she'd left hours ago to run errands. I'd been so absorbed in my book that I'd forgotten. I told myself I'd imagined it, and tried to brush it off. Just to be sure, though, I turned on the TV and checked the front door to make sure it was locked. That evening, I meant to tell my parents about what had happened, but by then, it seemed so trivial. It was easy to dismiss as nothing. Then I started having the dream. I was walking through the hallway of my own apartment, passing the bathroom. That's when I heard it again, the same voice, calling my name from inside. It was so vivid, so real, that when I woke up, I was shaking uncontrollably. Even though nothing happened in the dream, the fear stayed with me, clawing at the edges of my mind. Over time, the memory of the dream faded, and the fear seemed silly in hindsight. Still, something deep in my subconscious made me avoid the bathroom at night. It felt irrational, but I couldn't shake the unease. For a while, that unspoken rule kept me safe. Then my parents went on a trip, leaving me alone in the apartment. It wasn't a big deal. I'd stayed home alone before. If I ever felt uncomfortable, I knew I could call my best friend or even crash at her place. I wasn't the kind of person to believe in ghosts or monsters, so being alone didn't bother me. Most evenings, I spent my time at the computer or reading. I rarely went out, preferring the quiet solitude of the apartment. But one night, as I sat at my desk, I heard it again, that same raspy voice calling my name. This time, it came from the bathroom. I froze. For a while, I just stared at the slightly ajar bathroom door, my heart pounding in my chest. Then, convincing myself it was nothing, I turned back to my desk. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling until the first light of dawn. As soon as the sun came up, I left the apartment and went to my friend's house. While I was there, I avoided mentioning what had happened. She didn't need to know. I made an excuse to use her shower because I couldn't bring myself to use my own. For some reason, I just couldn't trust that bathroom anymore. My friend offered to let me stay the night, but I declined. I told her everything was fine. That evening, she threw a party, and I ended up drinking more than I should have. I barely remember how I got home. The next thing I knew, I woke up in my own bed, hungover and disoriented. My keys were missing. This was a problem. The door to my apartment could only be opened with keys from both sides, and my parents had taken the spares with them. I had no way out unless I found them. I searched everywhere, every drawer, every corner, every jacket pocket, but came up empty. Finally, I realized I hadn't checked the bathroom. Reluctantly, I approached the door. Flipping the light switch did nothing. The bulb had burned out. Grabbing a flashlight, I pointed it inside. My heart sank when I saw the faint glint of my keys near the drain. I couldn't bring myself to step inside. Something in me refused. I rigged up a makeshift tool using my mom's knitting needles and some tape, trying to fish the keys out without entering the room. It almost worked. But just as I was about to pull the keys free, they got stuck in the drain. No matter what I tried, I couldn't dislodge them. Frustrated and on edge, I left the bathroom and shut the door tightly behind me. That night, as I sat at my desk, I heard it again. My name, whispered hoarsely from the bathroom. When I turned, I saw the door was wide open. I was sure I closed it. Then came the sound, scraping, like claws running down the wooden door, followed by the voice, clearer and closer. "Look at me!" it rasped. "Turn around!" I shouted. "What do you want? Leave me alone!" The voice didn't respond, only repeated my name, over and over, each time with more insistence. I stayed frozen in my chair, too terrified to move. When morning came, I was so exhausted I fell asleep at my desk. I woke up hours later, starving. But to get to the kitchen, I'd have to pass the bathroom. Just as I gathered the courage to stand, I heard it again, the scrape of claws, followed by a new demand. "Turn around! Look at me!" "No," I whispered to myself. "I won't." The voice changed, becoming almost human. "Look at me," it said, this time more insistent. Then I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, and impossibly close. I could feel her standing behind me. My skin crawled as a cold, slimy hand rested on my shoulder. It slid up my neck, and the voice whispered again. "Look at me! I know if I turn around, I'll die. She'll make me look at her, and that will be the end. I've been sitting here for hours, silent and unmoving, pretending I don't notice her hand. I know she'll kill me the moment I make a sound or turn my head. My parents won't be back for another week. I don't think I can last that long."